Back over at Springhouse Gardens with Richard Weber today here on Everyday Kentucky. I'm having a just hunch that we're talking about phlox.
I know, we've been tending our phlox today, so you can call me a shepherd today.
Shepherd Weber.
Yeah, we are loving to tend our phlox, and phlox is a great American plant. We talked about the woodland phlox, now we've got the creeping phlox. You come back later in the summer, we'll talk about garden phlox, which is for the sun. And there's about 3 or 4 other native Kentucky phloxes. So we're very lucky to be in such a rich, diverse plant area of the country. The eastern United States is blessed to have so many, it's very biodiverse.
Yeah.
We've got so many great plants that do well here. Most people wouldn't really think of this as a native plant because this has been around, it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's because it grows so well on our limestone soils. It loves growing out of cliffs and rocks. And so somebody somewhere along the line found this growing up on a cliff somewhere and said, oh, let's start planting along the roadsides and along every little stone wall that you see driving around Kentucky. So it is a native plant. And what people have done through the years is just made certain selections of Phlox subulata. It's also called creeping phlox moss pinks. But they've made different selections, which means they found one that was this kind of a lavender color. There's one with a pretty little, what's the name of that one called?
Eye candy.
Eye candy. It's got a really cute little pink eye. Then there's a really nice, this is Drummond's pink. And then there's all these different varieties, and they do vary a bit in the way that the foliage is and the way that they grow. I've never actually ever seen this growing in the wild, like up on a cliff anywhere. Have you run across it on all of your treks and trips that you've been on?
No, I mean, the phlox we talked about before, I've seen it, but not in the cliffs.
So I don't really know what the natural color is of this. So we would tend to think that, gosh, it must be somewhere in this whole range because people have found them and selected and hybridized or whatever. But these are still Phlox subulata, and this one is called emerald blue. This, out of all of the ones that I've grown, is my go-to because I like plants that will thrive and survive and look good pretty much every month of the year. A lot of these tend to get a little bit ragged looking, a little ratty. So if you've seen that with creeping phlox that you've planted in the past, try emerald blue, because this one plant will cover about the size of this table.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really good, strong grower. The foliage stays nice. So if you're wanting to try to go native, yet you still love the color that these plants provide, you have it both with these. And don't be afraid to use a cultivar of a native plant. That's what all of these are cultivated varieties of a native, which some people are calling these nativars. So anyway, if you have questions, this is the time to pick out your creeping phlox, because you should find it when it's blooming, find the color that you like, put it in the ground. And you can do a lot of division on these too. You could buy a big one, and a lot of times there's multiple plants in there, or they've rooted, and you can divide them and get a lot planted along the top of a wall or something like that. But good drainage, full sun, and you should have good luck.
All right. Follow you on Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram, or come out and see us for 7 days a week here at Springhouse Gardens.